Hello there, and welcome to this video. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Please do like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. I don't think you're going to find anything anywhere else on the internet that actually binds these things together and makes it clear, you know. If there are 10 people somewhere on this planet that can do this, that can train this skill in their body, and if there are 10 other people somewhere that understand field theory, dielectric and magnetic in such a way that they can make this anti-gravity work, and if PhD professors are saying, no, it's impossible, it's pseudoscience, you know, who do you think I'm going to listen to? Them or the people that can help me achieve my goal? So at the very least, you know, even if you don't like it, that's fine. I hope I entertained you, inspired you. Enjoy. So I'm just wearing some sunglasses. I got a very strong multicolored light in front of me. I don't want to damage my eyes too much. Qigong is totally electrical.
Electricity, electricity.
And that word is really conflated.
Here we go from Charles Brodie Steinmetz, actually more intelligent than Nikola Tesla. He's also the guy that perfected Nikola Tesla's AC generator. Unfortunately, to a large extent in dealing with dielectric fields, the prehistoric conception of electrostatic charge, or the electron, on the conductor still exists. This is the most brilliant person who ever lived on electrical field theory. Some of his equations are over 20 pages long. Way smarter than any of you people out there. Any of you, including your PhD professor of physics and electrical theory. Way smarter than any of you. Unfortunately, this notion still exists, and by its use destroys the analogy between the two components of the electric field, that being the magnetic and the dielectric. This makes the consideration of dielectric fields unnecessarily complicated.
Especially since the 19th century, when these scientists were first developing electrical engineering, the science, it was better understood. For example, they knew the yin part and the yang part of electricity, of electrical energy, and they knew them both very clearly.
Through that middle zone or dielectric zone, gravity is connected to inertia or to the mass of particle. So if we affect the middle zone of the magnet, which is also spinning, we affect inertia of the body of the electron, and that's how we can affect gravity. So gravity or anti-gravity is dielectric field effect.
After Einstein, things became materialized. They wanted to define electric current in terms of some kind of particle, and so they came up with this electron particle to fit in with their quanta mathematical model, right? So, but before Einstein, you know, before this happened, it was not like this. It was actually an alchemical understanding, going back to natural philosophy, rooted in natural philosophy. In these natural philosophy books, for example, Naturalis Philosophia by Roger Boscovich. So this basic alchemical understanding of the nature also existed in the West. It existed, you know, probably it was developed on its own in China, but it also existed in the West, you know, and these things, they just went two different routes, you know. In China and the East, they developed it in the body, and in the West here, we developed the understanding of electricity.
Electricity. Oh, electricity.
Oh!
You know. So Qigong, it's electrical. You know, there's two parts in electric current, and that is dielectricity and magnetism. So it has a yin part and a yang part. The yin part is charging, The yang part is discharging. The yin part is accumulating energy, and the yang part is expressing the energy. This was known very well, but now it's not really, people don't really look at it that way. But this is how alchemy works in Chinese medicine and Qigong, this understanding. So it's important to look at it purely that way. So now that we're talking about electricity, electronics, electrical engineering in terms of the anatomy and Qigong and how it works, so we have to look at it this way. We can't go to the Einsteinian special relativity, anything related to quantum mechanics, because it's not, you can't, not for Qigong, not for the body. You must understand that. So Qigong is totally electrical. The air, it has a net positive charge. The earth, it has a net negative charge. When you're breathing the atmosphere, it goes down into your lungs. These are your lungs here. You can imagine it coming from a pipe here, and it's going in. The air is coming in. And then you have a layer, a big layer, very complicated layer of fascia all throughout the body. And then on the outside, you have another conductor. And that's connected to the negative. The ground, which is the negative, is connected by my feet. And the whole outside of the body there has a negative charge from the ground. That's the yin qi. That's the yin qi. And your lungs, which breathe the air, the inside of your lungs, all of the little bronchioles and everything where the air is going into, is positive charge. It's a capacitor, or like a Leyden jar. So our body, it's exactly like that. It's a Leyden jar, a very complicated one, or should I say complex. And complex, it doesn't mean it's complicated. It doesn't mean it's something that's impossible to understand. It's very complex to the point that it becomes almost mystical, almost mysterious in a way. But nonetheless, there are some basic ways to understand it, So we have a conductor, dielectric, conductor. Positive charge, negative charge, accumulation on the inside. And that's how, this is how you are doing it. When you're standing here and you're doing Qigong, you're accumulating, you're accumulating in your dielectric, and you of course have to sink it down and let it sink down to your dantian, because this is, your dantian is kind of an organ which you develop. It's like almost like an extraordinary organ. It's one that's, it's active in birth, and then, when after you're born and you grow up, it fades away a little bit. Unless you do Qigong or get into the meditation very well, then you can reactivate it. And this is where you can really charge up this dielectric. So not just in the fascia, but it comes back to the dantian, and dantian is actually more complex than just like a Leyden jar, but because it can also express the energy. So don't take the analogy too far. It's actually not an analogy. It's exactly a model of what it is. Your body is a capacitor. It is a Leyden jar, but it has other components as well. Like your dantian, it's another thing in and of itself, but it's connected to the rest of the capacitor, the rest of the Leyden jar in your body, And that's what it is. Your dantian can also express the yang qi, meaning it can discharge this yin, which is accumulation, building, storing the energy, and also discharging the dantian. That's why it will generate heat. Also, you will feel the electricity. stimulation in there, just like when you put a battery on your tongue, you'll feel your tongue get electrified. Will start getting some tingling on there, and it could be quite painful if the battery is high enough volts and amps. So when you get really good at and really deep into the Qigong, and you really start to not focus, it's not really the right word, but focus in some way the energy down here in your dantian. Little trick the Qigong practitioners use. We're not talking about the mains here, please understand. This is connected to the earth ground and has a very good electrical connection with the earth. Here we have our grounding pad, earth wire, tin foil. What you actually do is you pull your pants off, underwear, everything, and you sit on here so that your hui yin point, which is between the genitals and the anus, just on the perineum, that point must be directly connected with earth ground. What you feel when you do this is you just have more amps flowing through you. You can increase it even more. Salt, put it in the water there. Shake it up. There you go, so you sit on there. Oh, I must be a flat earther. No, we're just talking about lowest pressure mediation. Want to hear my opinion on flat earth? I agree with Hinal Wheeler.
I don't want any comments from the flat folks here, by the way, okay? I have nothing to do with that flat stuff. Let's not ever talk about flat stuff, okay? My answer to them is call me from the edge, When you reach the edge, give me a call. I'm at the edge. I can see over the edge.
The high voltage potential that exists between the atmosphere and the ground is unmanifest pure potential. There's no way to put any kind of meter on it and measure it.
So I invited a small group of scientists back from the United States with measuring equipment. Catherine Cook, Dr. Roger Nilsson, Dr. Greg Simpson, physicist from New York's Albert Einstein University. Greg is the first guinea pig. He's uncomfortable about showing that he can feel anything at all. Dr. Roger doesn't know what to expect. Metal detectors to see if he has any concealed metal in his body. Voltmeter to try and measure the qi. No readings. DJ says it isn't electricity, it's qi. See if he can light a light bulb. LEDs, light-emitting diodes, which ignite in different colors.
There's no current flow, no amps, so you need some way to accumulate those amps from that pure potential. Okay, I never said this alone was responsible for gravity. Gravity's perhaps more complex than that, more to do with overall pressure mediation and dielectric acceleration, so it's very high voltage, and because of that, it penetrates straight through us, grounding everything in its way. When we're standing here, walking around in a tree, on a building, flying in a plane, doing whatever, it doesn't matter whether you're wearing shoes, socks, rubber, whatever, you're still grounded to some degree. However, when you sit on the grounding pad, you have an enhanced connection to earth ground and thereby the opportunity to collect more amps, so long as you have an equally enhanced connection to the atmosphere. So you want to make sure that the window is wide open so that you have an equally enhanced connection to the atmosphere. To be more precise in terms of electrical theory, you're now charging up more joules of energy in your dielectric layers, in your body's capacitor, which can be further processed in these energy centers like your dantian. Once you've built up enough energy, you can really start adjusting these levels of yin and yang qi to produce various telekinesis and pyrokinesis effects, healing and so forth. So the qi energy is completely counterspatial and unmanifest. It has no Cartesian existence, therefore there is no piece of equipment in existence that can directly measure it. It can only be detected when it has the opportunity to express itself spatially. The analogy to help you understand is the center of a tornado where the air is completely still. Counterintuitively, this is where all the energy is stored. However, it is completely counterspatial and unmanifest. You won't know it's there until it hits, until it has the opportunity to express itself spatially.
It's so strong that it's pulling all clouds to the edge. There's nothing in the middle.
Why? Well, because it's a field, and just like any field, electric field, magnetic field, whatever, it is a metaphysical entity. A field has no physical existence. You can really build up quite a lot and almost a scary amount of energy. You really feel, well, there's a lot of energy in my dantian. Sometimes you will stop doing it because you're scared something might happen. And yeah, you do need guidance when you get to that point, you have to be careful. But this is what it is. This is what it is, The air, this is where we get the yang qi. This is the positive. The ground, this is the negative. Your body, it's a conductor, dielectric, conductor. Yeah, that's it. That's what your body is, you know. That's exactly how acupuncture works as well. Like when you put a needle in your flesh, you know, because you're piercing through 2 different layers or a few different layers, you know, I don't know, it could be more complicated. There's probably more layers. Just like in a capacitor, you can have just a, you know, 3-layer capacitor, like a, you know, a conductor, dielectric, conductor, or you can have conductor, dielectric, conductor, dielectric, conductor, dielectric, conductor, dielectric, and then you can have alternating connections between them, and a lot of, you know, a lot of different kind of series parallel matrices and a lot of stuff like that. So, and our body is very complicated, so there's a lot like that. That's why when you put a needle in one of your acupoints, it pierces through some of those layers and discharges. And so that's why you feel that dull ache, and you will see the flesh, the fascia and the flesh around that needle, it will start to contract. When you put the needle in, you will actually, they call it getting the chi. And you actually, when you're putting the needle in, you will feel it start to pull on the needle. And that's when they say you get the chi. What's happening? It's a discharge. It's an electric discharge.
Electricity. Oh, shit! Electricity.
I was going to go into John Chung, actually. This is what it is, you know. He's built his dielectric up to a high level. The upper part of the body is positively charged. The lower is negatively charged. That's what he's saying, you know. Negative comes up from here, positive comes down from here. It meets in my dantian, and then I have electric.
And my positive from here and my negative from here, and we meet together, this can get like electricity.
Electricity. Oh, shit! Electricity.
Shock. That's what he's saying. You know, when you touch someone else, it's just grounding.
He called the energy chi, and it was so strong that he usually needed a grounder.
From their negative and your here positive, negative, bang. That's it. So thank you.
And you can't really talk about chi emission without talking about the Mopai and John Chang. So it's definitely on the more esoteric, woo-woo sort of side of these arts. Because a lot of the other things that are done within these arts, you could kind of argue there's a sort of physiological science taking place behind it or something. But definitely by the time you get to chi emission, the giving out of an invisible energy, an invisible information field to another person, then you're definitely talking about something that's beyond what a lot of people will embrace or believe in as a concept. When a lot of people hear the term Mopai or John Channing, oh, they sigh inside because of all of the arguments that have taken place over the years. But I think it's funny that kind of chi emission, like I say, it's very rare, rarer than you might think. And then as that energy gets more refined, it can turn into heat. So you see people set fire to things. And again, a lot of people think those videos are fake. Probably some of them are. Just like anything, isn't it? If you get 10 things you watch, 9 of them are fake, 1 is real. I'm sure a lot of them are fake, but some of them are real. Now I have seen people that adamantly don't believe in such things, but it's true, it's real. People tend to try to camp themselves in that everything is physical in science, or everything is esoteric and the spirits guide the world camp. But actually, there's nothing wrong with the two coming together, because the truth, it contains both of them. And then what you have is the more powerful or intense version, where it becomes electrical current or heat or laser energy or something like this. And what you have is a stepping up of this power, if you like, that is developed in chi emission.
It was nothing like any acupuncture I'd ever had. I was getting really powerful electric shocks and couldn't control my movements at all.
Part of the main reason these use is for medicine, right? I mean, that's essentially the most useful aspect of it is a medical thing to help people. Generally for medical reasons, there's other reasons it's used, but normally as a form of medicine. But of course what happens is it becomes a case of like power hunting. And a lot of people are pursuing these kind of skills for this reason. The payoff that you make for the pursuit of these is not great with regards to your mind or your ego or your intent or something like this. No need for smoke and mirrors. I think those days are done, and I think in this day and age where there's a lot of information out there, there's also a lot of misinformation. I think it's better that we just be honest about what we're doing.
PhD professors are saying, no, it's impossible, it's pseudoscience. Who do you think I'm going to listen to? Them or the people that can help me achieve my goal?
I can guarantee you, if you took 1,000 scientists, PhD, doctoral scientists, just said, you got to tell me, it's not a trick question, what is a field? Don't give me the 4 Maxwellian field equations because they don't actually define a field. Tell me what a field is in itself of itself. They can't do it. I really don't like conspiracy people, and I am myself absolutely not a damn conspiracy person, okay? Gravity is not even a field by the definition of a field, because a field, as I've said 1,000 times in 1,000 different videos, this is how you really confuse a scientist. Just ask him to tell you, well, what's a field? Let me state that again. I'm not a conspiracy person, and I kind of always roll my eyes when I hear a conspiracy. That's not to say that obviously real conspiracies don't exist, because they obviously damn well do. Well, it's waves. Waves of what? Wave is not a thing. Waves what something does. This is a wave. It's like, no, that's my hand moving. That's a wave. So what about electricity being a conspiracy? If you mention the word dielectricity, people are like, well, what the hell are you talking about? Did you invent some sort of new free energy bullshit? It's like, are you kidding me? I don't know if you know who Charles Proteus Steinmetz is. If you don't, then you need to slap your physics teacher and professor, because they never told you. The people that actually built the entire electrical world, that being Tesla, Faraday, Steinmetz, James Clerk Maxwell, Oliver Heaviside, these are J.J. Thomson also, pardon me. These are entirely within everything that they write about over and over and over. Dielectricity. It's like, I've heard of that word, but nobody ever discusses it. And he himself in 1917 was talking about people conflating what electricity is. Gravity is incoherent, non-point source dielectric acceleration. A field is an ether perturbation. Gravity and so-called magnetic attraction is within this sphere of dielectrics.